Joe Biden is the 46th President of the United States, and he's not the most charismatic leader that we've had.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
One of the most important tasks for any leader is to speak effectively in front of large groups. So can he do this? Is Joe Biden any good at public speaking? Biden has been heavily criticized for his public speaking skills.
Gaffe after gaffe after gaffe, blunder after blunder.
And yes, he's not the best speaker. But is he really that bad? Does he actually have a stutter? Is he just getting old? I want to tackle some of these questions in this video, so let's look at some speeches he's given, starting with his inaugural address.
Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now.
This one is a particularly weak speech. He's not using any gestures or emotions. He's not enthusiastic or animated. There's no use of powerful language here. He's stumbling over his words.
Rural versus urban. Rural versus urban.
Here, he's a milquetoast speaker at best. Not a good speech. Contrasting that, in this next example, he presents with much more impact. This speech on democracy was heavily criticized for the creepy red backdrop and his disparaging comments used to describe MAGA Republicans.
MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies.
Politics and creepiness aside, his message came through much more effectively here. He's using powerful themes and language, stirring emotion in his intended audience, with lots of gestures and animated facial expressions. And he demonstrates here that he can in fact still perform on the stage. Now let's look at a speech he gave at a gala for the American Institute for Stuttering. This speech is incredibly heartfelt and sincere, and I think no matter your political views, you'll see him in a new light if you watch the full speech. Personal testimony or stories that reveal intimate struggles can create a deep connection with your audience.
I used to stutter like some of you very badly, and the thing that I hated the most was I'd contort my face when I stuttered, and I was so ashamed.
He shows so much emotion, he's on the verge of tears. This might be the most sincere speech in recent years from Biden, and for that reason, it makes for a highly effective speech. The last thing I want to note here is that we can all see a loss of sharpness in his speaking skills. At the time of this recording, Joe Biden is 80 years old, and just look at this clip from one of his campaign videos showing a statement he made in 1987.
I believe all Americans are born with certain inalienable rights. As a child of God, I believe my rights are not derived from the Constitution. My rights are not derived from any government. My rights are not derived from any majority. My rights are because I exist.
He's just not speaking with that much skill these days. Joe Biden today is not the world's greatest speaker, but even though he comes across as feeble and inarticulate at times, he can speak effectively when he needs to, and he does it all despite having dealt with a pretty serious stutter. What are your thoughts about all this?
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Speak well and be well.